Hello, my name's Kevin Baker. I'm a hypnotherapist at Clarity and Wellbeing, which is based in Winchester in Hampshire. In this short audio today, I'd like to talk about something that's called the fight or flight response. Okay, so let's answer a couple of questions first. What is the fight or flight response? Why am I talking about it so passionately? And what's it got to do with hypnotherapy? Okay, some really good questions. So let's define the fight or flight response firstly. The fight or flight response is a highly developed, integrated, and instantaneous response that is built into us as human beings to perceived danger, to the threat of danger. I'll just repeat that. It's a highly developed, integrated, and instantaneous response to perceived danger, to the threat of danger that we have built into us, all of us as human beings. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. The fight or flight response is the main reason, if not the only reason, why the human race still exists today. It's why and how it has survived over all of these years. So let's just go back a moment to our ancestors. Now, in the days of our ancestors, where they would be walking around, say, hunting for food, for example, and they were all of a sudden confronted with a wild animal that is threatening their life. Okay, now a couple of things happen. Firstly, the subconscious part of our mind, which is the most powerful part of our mind and the instantaneous or automatic part of our mind, makes the decision automatically to fight or flight, to run away from this danger, okay, this wild animal in this example. Okay, now the other thing that happens, and firstly the reason it's our subconscious mind that makes the decision is because if we were to rely on our conscious mind, which is normally the part of our mind that makes decisions, if we were to rely in such a life-threatening situation on our conscious mind, it may be too late and we could be in trouble. So that's why it's left to the subconscious mind. Okay, now when this happens, this threat, this life-threatening threat of perceived danger, some things happen in our body. Hormones such as adrenaline, cortisol, and various other sugars and stimulants flood our body, our bloodstream. Okay, and the reason this happens is so that we have this immediate burst of energy, okay, to enable us to fight this thing or to flight, to run away. Okay, so we have this immediately instant burst of energy. Okay, and blood flow, when this happens, blood flow increases to parts of the body such as the arms and the legs, which are obviously the parts of the body that we're going to use when we're fighting or running away. So incredibly clever how this all happens automatically. And blood flow decreases to other parts of the body, such as the systems such as the digestive system and the reproductive system. You know, we don't need to reproduce or digest food while we are fighting or running for our lives. So blood flow to those types of systems within the body decreases temporarily. Okay, now in the ancestry days, what happened was that in fighting or running away, the hormones and stimulants and all these other sugars and things, they would then revert, they'd get used up and would revert back to their normal balanced level. Okay, and this is called the opposite of the fight or flight response, which is the relaxation response. Okay, so the fight or flight response is triggered when we are in a situation of perceived danger, and then in running away or fighting, the opposite to it, the relaxation response, returns the body back to its normal balanced level. Okay, let's move forward now to, so that's as I say, why why the human race has survived for all of this time. Now, so coming back to today, modern world, we still have this system, this highly developed, integrated and instantaneous response to perceived danger that we call the fight or flight response. We still have this built into us now, today. The problem is that fortunately we are rarely put in the situation where we need to fight or run for our life. Okay, that's the first thing here. But the other thing is that even though we're not confronted, fortunately, very often with things as our ancestors were, like a wild animal in front of us, we're not confronted with that type of perceived danger, but the fight or flight response within us is still activated many times and in many different situations today. For example, let's look at some examples. If we are driving along and we're cut up by another driver, if somebody says something to us that we disagree with or makes us feel angry, if we feel that our job is under threat, any negative type of thing like this, okay, triggers, in today's modern world, triggers the fight or flight response. Cortisol, adrenaline, sugars and other stimulants are released into the bloodstream, ready to fight or flight for our lives. Okay, and what we sometimes do is, we bang our fist on the desk, or we shout or scream. That really is a drop in the ocean in terms of reverting our body back to its normal balance level, because it simply is not enough. It's just banging our fist on the desk or shouting or screaming is not the same as running or fighting for our lives. So it's not going to activate the relaxation response, which is the opposite to the fight or flight response, and therefore it's not the act of shouting, screaming or banging our fist is not going to return our body back to its normal balance level. Okay, so what tends to happen is that sometimes, many times, depending on people's circumstances and lifestyle, in today's world the fight or flight response is activated, triggered many times, often many times daily. So the levels of cortisol, adrenaline, sugars and other stimulants is gradually increasing, but because we're not activating the opposite of it, the relaxation response, we're not getting those levels of those hormones and other stimulants back to their normal balance level. Okay, now a couple of things here. Firstly, those hormones and other stimulants, if they're left hanging around in the body, they actually break down into more toxic substances, which can be harmful to the body. And the other thing is that the fight or flight response is not just activated when we are told that our job maybe in chance of losing our job, or if we are cut up by someone in the car. It is activated at just the thought of it. So just the thought of, oh no, what if I lose my job, or what if someone cuts me up in the car, or what if the fight or flight response is activated. Cortisol, adrenaline, sugars, stimulants are increased in the body, increased each time this happens, each time we have these thoughts, even if these things don't actually happen. So you can see how these hormones and these stimulants gradually build and build and build. And if we are not fighting for our life or running for our life to activate the relaxation response, we are not reverting the body back to its normal balance level. Okay, so what's all this got to do with hypnotherapy then? Well, What we do as part of hypnotherapy is to teach people how to how to activate the relaxation response so that our bodies return to the normal balance level. Cortisol, adrenaline, and these other stimulants are actually used up. Okay, so we teach people in the session series of techniques that they can use daily to, if you like, activate the relaxation response themselves, which is absolutely essential to do because, as I've just said, the fight or flight response is being activated often many times daily. So it stands to reason that if we're not fighting or running for our life, we have to make sure that the relaxation response is activated as frequently as possible as well, because otherwise gradually these hormone levels increase and we start to feel stressed. Or in the case of someone who is trying to conceive, they can't conceive. It affects fertility, and as I said earlier, things like the reproductive system, digestive system, they slow down, they shut down temporarily when these hormones are too high, because in a fight or flight situation they're not necessary. Okay, so all sorts of, our immune system, another great example, is affected. Okay, we don't need to heal our body from illness or disease while we are fighting or running for our life. It can be put on hold for a minute and then the healing can take place. Okay, so if these hormone levels are too high in our body, healing will not take place as quickly as it should or could. So there's a whole host of reasons why we should, in today's world, be able to and have the knowledge to activate this relaxation response, to keep our body balanced so that stress doesn't set in, so that our immune system is working as perfectly as it can to fight illness and disease, and for healing to take place as quickly as possible. And this is what we teach as part of our hypnotherapy sessions. So if you're interested in, I do hope you found that something of interest in that, and if you'd like to chat about this further, then it's something that, as you could probably tell, I feel very passionate about since I've studied and learnt about this. So if you'd like to chat further, then please do get in contact with me, and I'd be delighted to help or to chat things through further. Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye for now.